Hey everybody, doing my last part of this question as far as what times in your life are you the happiest and why? So I've had three others. I love going on golf trips. I loved growing up, being in our neighborhood, and I loved when Sierra and I were doing a lot of travel for cheer for 4 or 5 years. It was just her and I going around, and nobody else really there, and it was just us. So um, the last one is the times in my life that I am the happiest are when Jen and I go on vacations. Um, Again, I've had another video where I said, one of the best, what are the two best trips you've taken? And one of them was when Jen and I went to Italy. And that one is fabulous, right? It was great. But the nice part about her and I traveling together is that we kind of have that same travel, we have the same travel ideas of what we want and what we like. So we don't want to do the overly touristy things. That doesn't mean that we never do them, right? Because when you go to Rome, you go to the Vatican, and there's nothing more touristy than standing in line. I mean, there are people that stood in line for, hours to get in. We were lucky enough to just book something and go in on a tour, um, and so that was nice. But yeah, we still do touristy things, but that's not the focus. The focus is to kind of dive into local life, right? And what is if you're in Venice, what do the people in Venice do? And when you're in, you know, wherever it could be, when you're in New York, what do New York people do? Like, hey, I see the Empire State Building over there, but I don't need to go up in it. I get it. It's a tall building. It's pretty. It's a nice view. Yeah, I've seen the internet. But what are the cafes? What are the little places people go? Where are the parks that that aren't Central Park? And again, we went to Central Park. Central Park is great. It's actually fabulous. It's incredible. Touristy, but awesome. Some of the things are touristy because they are awesome. So we want to keep that in mind. But I'm not just talking about like just going to Italy or just doing, some certain trip. I'm just saying, when you're married to somebody, a lot of your life is together and you're having to do things. And so it's stressful and you can get in fights and, Jen and I work together. So there's even more of that. So it it can be it can be taxing on your relationship. Even though we have a great marriage, right? And this is, January of 2025. Hopefully it goes a lot longer, but yeah, it's sometimes life is hard, and there are decisions and chores and people have to get places and things have to get done, yeah, it's not all roses. But when Jen and I vacation, there's like, not that we don't couldn't fight, but man, there's not a lot of arguments. We mostly are the same type of person when we go on these, and so they're fabulous. So I think there are buddies of mine that when they go on vacation with their significant other, they don't exactly look forward to it because they're like, "Oh, gosh, we just don't get along. It's hard and we fight and he wants to do this and she wants to do that and nobody gets along." So we just don't have that. We kind of are like, "Hey, let's lay out things that we want to do and then let's go do them." And we just go do them, and if along the way, neither one of us are like, no, this is our plan and this is what we have to do. If we come across something like, hey, that looks awesome, let's do that. Okay, cool, let's do that. Like, we're just here to go with the flow and see what happens. Now, I'm a little bit more of a planner. I want to have certain things that I want to see, but if we stray off that path, it's not that big a deal. So we can kind of go with the flow and, find a restaurant. Hey, we had a reservation at this fancy place, but look at this place. We love it. Let's just stay here and let's eat and let's cancel that reservation. You're like, cool. Yeah, let's just do that. This seems more local anyway. That probably will have a bunch of Americans there. So I like that we both are that way, and that we both want to see, you know, more places, more cultures that we're not used to a point. Neither one of us, and we're both the same way in this. Like, not a whole lot of us. We don't have a whole lot of interest in going and seeing, parts of Africa, or even a lot of parts of Asia, right? Like India and some of that stuff. And maybe this will change as we get older and we travel more, as we start to get into the years where we'll probably do more traveling. Maybe that will change. But right now we're kind of like, I want to see all of the Americas, right? South America, Central America, Canada, all of the United States, right? There's so many places that we haven't been, Montana and Maine and, you know, Albuquerque and all sorts of places, right? That we want to go. But and of course Europe, right? All of Europe and the Mediterranean countries of Greece and all that stuff. That's going to be fabulous, and we really want to do it. And maybe we'll venture out further. And we are like, hey, let's dive into China and let's dive into India and see so many places. But right now we're kind of like, I don't want to do that. There's enough places in the rest of the world that we want to see first. So we just kind of get along when it comes to all those ideas and trying to do more of that as we get older. So that's just one thing that makes me happy. And we don't have to be going on a great trip. We have fun when we go on little trips to different places, some overnight, not maybe not over a weekend, like we just did New York. We did 3 nights in New York, around Christmas. And it's great because we both like doing the same things. We both kind of hit the wall at a certain point, right? We might get out at, start going to see things at 10 or 11 in the morning after something to eat or a cup of coffee or something. And, by 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, we're ready for dinner and calling it a night, right? And that's great because we don't have one of us that's like, no, let's go out and let's go find a place and have a drink or have a couple glasses of wine. Like, nah, we're tired. So we're kind of both on the same page. So it just works. And I think those are the times that I remember like, man, I got lucky with my wife, that she is I mean, there are times that I don't think she's sane and awesome, but on vacation, I think it all the time, right? I think like, man, this is so easy. It's great and we're we're nice to each other. But I think part of it is that you're just away from the stresses of life. We aren't having to, again, it's kind of like my video on the golf trips. Part of the golf trip is that you don't have to take care of other people. And when you're on a trip with just you and your wife, I mean, there's no kids, there's no parents, there's no nephews you gotta go help, or there's nothing. It's just the two of you, and you're like, hey man, if somebody needs something, you're like, hey, I'm out of town, I can't help out, so you're gonna have to call somebody else. So I think that part makes them fun, and it makes it to where you're very carefree, and it helps that neither one of us are militant about schedules. I think we have a guide of things we want to see, but if we stray from that, it doesn't matter. We just don't want to get over there and get to where we're going and be like, what do you want to do? Like, I don't know. Let's figure something out. So we want to have ideas before we go, but besides that, we're just there to have fun and we just have a really good time. So those, they make me happy. And as we're heading, and I'm 50 and Jen's getting ready to turn 50, we've only got, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years left of working until we're going to start really traveling. And I really am looking forward to that because it's fun and you have somebody right there as your companion to do it with the whole time. And it's easy. It's not something that I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do that. I'm almost getting to the point where I'd rather go, and I say almost, right? Because she's going to watch this at some point. I almost like going with Jen better than I do like going on golf trips. Whew, that's a shock. But the reason why is because sometimes golf trips can be like herding cats, right? There's still 10 dudes or 12 dudes or 6 guys or 8 guys. I mean, whatever the number. I mean, when it's just you and your wife or your spouse, you're like, yeah, I mean, as long as we agree, we can do whatever we want, so you don't have, there's not other people to please. It's just the two of you. So it really is nice. It's nice having a partner that is that same way and is easy to get along with. And yeah, and you just have fun. It's nice because Jen's not crazy and she doesn't want to go out and like get belligerent drunk and go to clubs or something. And Jen's not boring. She wants to go do stuff. She might think of me as boring, right? Because we're planning like a trip to Switzerland, and a lot of Switzerland, right? It's in the Alps. So there's tons of gondolas that go up to, 10,000 feet and look out over the edge of this mountain that I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to do that. But I am going to have to toughen up and do some of that. But part of me is like, Yeah, I'm kind of the boring one. She's the adventurous one, but it works too, right? Because she's also fine going, if you don't want to go, you're missing out, but I'm going to go up there and I'll see you in an hour and a half. And I'm fine going, yeah, that probably does look fun. I'll probably regret it, but I'm also fine sitting down here and I'll grab a coffee and I'll people watch, or I'll grab a sandwich or head back to the room or do something, right? But we're both fine with whatever it takes. So I think that's the key, right? That you find somebody that you can be like, it's fine either way. Everything will be fine. If we decide to go to this restaurant or that one, it'll be fine. If we decide to skip that tour that we're going to do and go on this one instead, that'll be fine too, because it's all fabulous. It's all great. It's all vacationing, right? It should be fun. So I just I really look forward to that this next coming time or aspect or period of our lives where we get to do a little bit more exploring, less in the office and doing all this work, for a business to try to make money so that you can retire, and more relaxing and enjoying, the fruits of your labor over the last, 30, 35 years. So that's my answer to that. And this is my last one of things that make me happy, right? Times that I'm happy. It's one, vacationing with Jen. Two, um, the one-on-one time with Sierra. Three, golf trips in general. I do love those still. They're still some of the things that make me the happiest. And four, and the easiest one, because I think it was the time of my life that had the most joy, was growing up, being 8 years old till 16, and just playing with a neighborhood full of young boys. That was just lucky that we were all in that spot, and just played all the time. So that was an easy one. So, but that's my answer. That's my 4 video answer on times of my life or things that make me happy and why. So see you guys.